You were patrolling one day through the neighborhood, looking around just like always, when you saw the little boy on his big wheel in the street, and you pulled over so you and he could meet, and you said, "Hey son, what you doing out here in the street? Does your mom know this is where you're playing?" And he said, "Oh no," and his face grew whiter than a sheet. So you talked with him a while till you finally made him smile, and for years you had a friend that you saw time and time again. But it started with that boy on the big wheel. You heard the call come through one day, a little girl wandered away. She was oh so young, the same age as your son. You saw her in the water, you pulled her to the shore. You did all you could, and then you did some more. And you said, "Bring it, child, I won't give up. Come on, sweetheart, breathe." Then a call came, and you started crying. And she said, "Where's Dad? I'm scared, I want to go home." So you talked with her a while till you finally made her smile. And for years you had a friend that you saw time and time again. But it started with the girl who wandered. And over all the years you drank so many tears. And even when your life was on the line, you calmed our fears. I'm sorry to say thank you every day for the nights away from home, all the times you felt alone, or the sacrifices made willingly. But things don't always go the way we think they should. Oh, we never know the reason or the rhyme. And one day it just happened, you were gone for good. My friend, you had left us years before your time. We were all there that day, just to say goodbye to the one who was our hero. When we saw a young man and a pretty girl standing by the gravesite, and this is what we heard. He said, "I remember when I met you. Do you remember too? Just a kid out playing in the street." And she said, "I still remember when you saved my life." And you talked with us a while till you finally made us smile. And for years
Would everyone please stand for the presentation of the colors?
That's it. Present. Oops.
Would you please join me singing the national anthem? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right. Rest.
Thank you for coming. Please have a seat. This is the 8th time that we've met here at Rose Park for this memorial. And we come here to say thanks to the families who allow their loved ones to do this job. As we all know, it's not a 9-to-5 job with weekends off, and the demands are many. But the families understand the importance of this job. And this year alone, we're honored to be able to have this ceremony tonight on the actual night of the National Law Enforcement Memorial Celebration. Often we've been able to, we had to move it in order to make room for the state celebration that was usually on this night. This year, however, though, they moved it in Bozeman on a Saturday, so this is the first time we've actually had it on the exact night. We come together to ensure that we never forget those names of the men and women who are on the wall. Last year we had 151 officers killed in the United States in the line of duty. We honor the names of the men and women on the wall, but we also honor the families of those men and women and the families of those officers that are serving today. We are their family, and these people deserve to be recognized for their sacrifices and the losses that they have suffered. Now, I want to acknowledge a few people here tonight. We have some people that have come from a long way here. Lynette, I lost your list. We have an awful lot of family members that show up to this every year. and it's very important. And so with that, we'll continue with Chief Mayor.
We had several officers who retired this last year, and we would like to take a moment to thank them publicly for their years of service and to present them with the Missoula Police Department coin. This is something that we started a number of years back, and we hope to perpetuate into the future. This year, Joe Gaffney retired on June 11th. He served with the Missoula Police Department from July 31st, and he served on the Missoula Police Department from June 11th, 1986 through July 31st, 2006. Also, Joe will be accepting a coin on behalf of Greg Jacobson, who served from April 16th, 1987 through October 12th, 2006. Greg is currently living with his family in Florida, and we also have officers who were unable to attend tonight who retired this last year. Officer Tom Stensetter, Lieutenant Rocky Harris, Lieutenant Brian Damascus, Officer Don Strine, and Officer Rick Dahlgren. So as you can tell, we had a number of people that we had to try to form a replacement squad for, and that's still in the works. Joe, if you'd like to come up and accept a coin on behalf of yourself and Greg.
Good seeing you. Yeah, thank you. Very nice. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Last year, after the ceremony, I was approached by a gentleman by the name of Peter Sween. And Peter Sween was a seasonal worker for the National Park Service. Peter had been a ranger with the Park Service, and he had been involved in a situation where he was forced to use deadly force. And at that time, Peter and I started talking about the possibility of him being able to be here at this award ceremony, and of someone being here to present an award to him. So I'm honored to introduce George Durkee tonight. George, could you come forward? George started his career in Yellowstone Park in 1971, and for the past 30 years has worked as a backcountry and ski patrol ranger in Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park. He is a founding member of the Ranger Lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police. He currently serves as its executive director. And George flew in here for this ceremony today from California. He asked that we don't hold that against him. And so I'm honored that we can use this ceremony and give the National Park Service people a chance to. I'll be honored.
Thank you, Chief Wickman. I've been to a number of Police Week ceremonies over the years, and it's an honor and privilege to be welcomed by another agency. It emphasizes the bond that exists amongst all law enforcement officers, and I especially want to thank Chief Wickman, Lynette LePayne, and the Missoula Police Department for including me during this National Week of Remembrance. I'm especially pleased that not only does your department recognize and honor those who have given their lives in service to their communities, you also recognize the exemplary actions of your fellow officers. At a time of sadness and grief, this reminds us that more often the good guys win. And so I'm here on behalf of the Ranger Lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police to honor one of our rangers who, between assignments in our national parks, lives here in Missoula. We all know how quickly things can go bad and how little time we have to react decisively. One moment, you're talking to a family about the best fishing spots. Seconds later, you're facing an armed suspect in the darkness. The ability to successfully make that instantaneous transition, contain and control danger, and go home at the end of your shift represents the best of our tradition of protection and service. Tonight, we honor National Park Ranger Peter Sween for exemplifying that formidable ability. As a young adult, Peter Sween loved the outdoors and belonged to a Sheriff's Mountain Patrol. In 1993, after completing degrees in Administration of Justice and Social Work, Sween attended the Law Enforcement Academy for National Park Service Rangers. His first job after graduation was in Yellowstone National Park, and in 1998, Sween settled in Missoula and continues to work for the Park Service as a seasonal law enforcement ranger. He has served assignments in Sequoia, Lake Roosevelt, Crater Lake, and Olympic National Parks. On the night of July 27th, 2005, Ranger Peter Sween and his partner responded to a report of a woman being assaulted at Mazama Campground in Crater Lake National Park, Oregon. Upon arrival, the 6-foot, 200-pound male suspect immediately threatened to kill the Rangers and then vanished into the darkness. He reappeared moments later with a 26-inch long weighted club and advanced on the officers, threatening them as he came. In a rapidly evolving situation, both Rangers quickly took up defensive positions and repeatedly ordered the suspect to drop the weapon. From cover, Sween's partner deployed pepper spray without effect. With the club held high over his head in a two-handed striking position, the suspect then charged directly at Ranger Sween. At 6 feet away, Ranger Sween fired 2 rounds, hitting the suspect in center of mass and killing him. From time on scene to the radio call requesting medical help was 1 minute, 52 seconds. In a dark campground crowded with family groups, both Rangers acted tactically and decisively to contain and control a terrifying situation to the public. Their actions saved lives that night. The Ranger Lodge of the Fraternal Order of Police is proud and honored to present National Park Ranger Peter Sween its Valor Award in recognition of his heroic actions at Crater Lake National Park.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, Ranger Sween. Could I now have the following Missoula police officers please step to the front of the monument for the presentation of the awards and certificates of recognition by the Missoula Police Department. Mr. Pete Denault will be reading a synopsis of the events surrounding the presentation of these awards. Officer Randy Whitcomb. Detective Guy Baker. Sergeant Ed McLean. Officer Gordon Schmill. Officer Mike Hebert. Sergeant Colin Rose.
Tonight's awards are presented with the grateful appreciation of the citizens of Missoula and the pride of the Missoula Police Department. Missoula police officers serve with honor and esteem in the performance of their called upon duties. This evening we recognize those members who through various acts have distinguished themselves as rising to the highest levels of service to the community and the Missoula Police Department. Officer Randy Whitcomb and K9 Moose. The actions being recognized tonight by Officer Randy Whitcomb and his K9 partner Moose are an example of what happens when hours of intense training and a keen sense of smell come together. Lives are saved. On May 30th, 2006, Officer Whitcomb and Moose were requested to assist in tracking a male subject who had fled from officials and was considered armed and dangerous. As the tracking process began, it was learned that the suspect had broken into a residence, used the telephone, and stolen a .40 caliber handgun, escalating the potential danger posed to officers and residents in the area. As Officer Whitcomb and Moose continued to search the heavy underbrush, which was so thick that Officer Whitcomb could not even see the ground, Officer Whitcomb decided not to use verbal commands with Moose to avoid disclosing the location of law enforcement in case the suspect was setting up for an ambush. During the search of the area around the home that had been burglarized, Moose continued to show Officer Whitcomb he was tracking, and after about 25 yards, Moose's actions indicated they were getting close. Moose suddenly launched into the brush and the suspect immediately yelled and surrendered. The man was quickly arrested without incident, but he was in the possession of a pistol. Officer Whitcomb believed that the suspect was aware of the officers but unaware of Moose and had positioned himself face down to cover his track. The suspect had been surprised by K9 Moose's presence, thus ending a situation which could have ended a lot worse. The suspect later indicated to authorities that that dog had saved his life, as he was planning on dying to avoid jail and taking as many officers as possible with him. We are honored to present Officer Randy Whitcomb and his K9 partner Moose with a certificate of commendation. Detective Guy Baker is being recognized tonight for his experience, knowledge, expertise, and willingness to go above and beyond to solve a case. On November 30th, 2006, officers of the Missoula Police Department responded to a reported shooting on Missoula's south side. The victim had been transported to the hospital for medical attention, and the suspect was at large. Detective Baker responded to the call and was assigned as the lead investigator. The suspect was someone that Detective Baker was familiar with, as he had been a suspect in a shooting that had occurred 2 years earlier. His dogged determination in the 2004 shooting had yielded much information about the suspect. Knowing the suspect was a dangerous individual with a propensity to commit additional violent crimes, Detective Baker and the other investigators worked through the night conducting interviews and compiling documentation necessary to obtain a search warrant for the residence where the shooting had taken place. Detective Baker continued to oversee the ongoing investigation and tried to accomplish as much as possible going into a weekend, knowing this dangerous man was on the loose and armed with a handgun. By the next afternoon, Detective Baker had enough probable cause to recommend charges to the county attorney's office, and by 5 o'clock that day an arrest warrant had been issued for 1 count of attempted deliberate homicide and 1 count of criminal endangerment. Detective Baker worked into the late hours of that evening, continuing to gather evidence regarding the case. Throughout the weekend, Detective Baker continued his investigation, contacting the Missoula County Probation and Parole Office, attempting to locate clients who may have information relevant to this shooting or the whereabouts of the suspect. He also contacted the Banning Police Department in California, as he knew the suspect had resided there and had made numerous trips to that city in the past. Over the next several months, Detective Baker continued to follow leads regarding the whereabouts of the suspect using the Rocky Mountain Information Network, cell phone records, witness interviews, continuing personal contact with other law enforcement agencies in California and the United States Marshals Service to solicit assistance. On February 16, 2007, FBI officials notified Detective Baker that the suspect had been apprehended near Banning, California. The suspect has since been extradited back to Montana to face felony charges against him as a result of the November shooting. As late as April of 2007, Detective Baker continued to follow up on leads in regards to the weapon used and its location, which including searching a section of the river near Clinton with the assistance of the Missoula County Search and Rescue Team. This case is a continued example of Detective Guy Baker's willingness to exceed the limits of an average investigation and do what he believes is necessary to bring a successful conclusion that includes the prosecution and conviction of serious offenders and eliminate their threat to the citizens of Missoula. We are proud to present Detective Guy Baker with a certificate of commendation. Sergeant Ed McLean. On June 19, 2006, a dispatch went out regarding a person down in the parking lot not breathing at the Oli store on North Orange. Sergeant McLean was just coming on duty and immediately responded to the store to provide medical assistance. When he arrived, he was directed to an elderly male victim who was in full cardiac arrest and did not have a pulse. Sergeant McLean stepped in and administered CPR to the victim until medical personnel arrived on the scene. When they arrived, the victim now had a pulse. In a letter from the Emergency Medical Response Unit, they stated, "Your quick actions in providing CPR to a cardiac patient at the Oli's Conoco may have very well made the difference in saving a life. As I am sure you are aware, early CPR and defibrillation is the key to survival in a heart attack. Your actions help provide that life-saving intervention. I'm happy to report that your patient was admitted to St. Pat's Hospital ICU with a positive outcome. It's comforting to know here in Missoula we have officers on the streets that will go the extra mile in making our community a better and safer place to live. For your efforts to step in and help a victim in need of immediate medical assistance, we are proud to award Sergeant Ed McLean the Life-Saving Medal." Officer Gordon Schmill. On December 8, 2006, through selfless actions, Officer Gordon Schmill saved the life of a Hellgate High School student in a situation where seconds counted. While on his way to attend a function in Potomac on this wintry night, off-duty Officer Gordon Schmill rounded an icy curve on Highway 200 approximately 3 miles up the Blackfoot when he came upon a head-on collision involving 2 passenger vehicles. Officer Schmill was the first person to arrive on the scene, and utilizing his police radio, he notified emergency personnel of the accident, the location, and requested medical assistance. In checking the first vehicle, Officer Schmill found the occupant was unconscious and having difficulty breathing. He directed another driver who had stopped to offer assistance to watch the young man while he went to check on the occupants of the other vehicle and assess their injuries. Although the occupants of the second vehicle were injured, they were able to communicate to Officer Schmill that they were okay, and he assured them medical assistance was on the way, and he immediately returned to the first victim. When he returned, he found the teen slumped over and was unable to see or hear him breathing. The teen had not been wearing his seatbelt, and there was obvious trauma to his jaw and neck. While holding the young man's head and neck in place, Officer Schmill performed a jaw thrust maneuver and was able to reestablish his airway. He began to breathe again, and although his breath was labored, with Officer Schmill maintaining his airway, the young man was alive. When medical personnel arrived, a firefighter took over maintaining the airway, and Officer Schmill then crawled inside the vehicle and resumed holding the teen's head and neck, and assisted the firefighters in removing the victim from the vehicle and onto a backboard to secure him for transport. Officer Schmill then returned to the second vehicle and assisted fire and medical personnel with the difficult extraction of the 2 occupants. The teen suffered a badly broken leg, crushed heel, and numerous bruises and lacerations. He spent 5 days in an induced coma to allow the swelling to subside around his trachea, as well as undergoing surgery for his leg and heel. As stated by a friend of the victim's family, while thanks are extended to all the medical and emergency personnel who responded to help the victims of this accident, it was the reflexive and extraordinary actions of Officer Schmill that saved this young man's life. And for this action, we are pleased to present Officer Gordon Schmill with the Life-Saving Medal. Mike Hebert. Between March 8, 2006 and February 12, 2007, Officer Mike Hebert was assigned as the Missoula Police Department's first full-time DUI enforcement officer. As with many new positions, the expectations were sometimes unclear. However, Officer Hebert took this opportunity to better our city and excel as a law enforcement officer. Officer Hebert faithfully worked nights and weekends and never complained. In approximately 156 shifts, Officer Mike Hebert accumulated the following statistics: 1,120 traffic and criminal citations, 116 arrest warrants served, and 225 DUI arrests. Officer Hebert's supervisor states, "I've learned much about his approach to our profession. I've personally witnessed Officer Hebert in a number of challenging situations where he remained professional, patient, and respectful to citizens." In speaking with the City Attorney's Office to monitor Officer Hebert's work, I was repeatedly told that his reports, supplemental paperwork, and courtroom testimony were excellent. Equally as important, Officer Hebert never forgot we are all a team and routinely volunteered to help patrol teams when help was needed. Officer Hebert has forever established a bar of excellence for future officers assigned to this detail. His dedication to the citizens of Missoula, his fellow officers, and visitors to our city is demonstrated by taking dangerous drivers off our streets. We are proud to present Officer Mike Hebert with the Meritorious Service Award for his outstanding work in the field of impaired driving enforcement and prevention. Sergeant Colin Rose. Sergeant Colin Rose is honored tonight for his heroic efforts to save a life of a Missoula woman trapped inside a burning home. On October 23, 2006, at 6 in the morning, Sergeant Rose responded to a dispatch of a structure fire with a female trapped inside. Dispatch advised that the victim had fallen and suffered a broken hip and was trapped in the kitchen and was being burned. Sergeant Rose was the first to arrive at the scene and could hear the victim screaming for help from inside the house. He grabbed the fire extinguisher from his patrol car and forced the back door open. Initially overcome by the heat and smoke, Sergeant Rose briefly stepped away from the door to breathe some fresh air. Undeterred, Sergeant Rose then got on his hands and knees and crawled to the female victim and pulled her from the burning home. The victim was moved away from the home and comforted until medical personnel arrived. Sergeant Rose accepted an extreme level of personal risk to save the life of this woman in a situation where seconds counted. Smoke inhalation is the #1 cause of death in residential fires, and although the victim suffered burn injuries, his quick actions allowed her to escape more serious injuries or even death. As stated in a letter from Missoula Fire Chief Tom Steenberg, Officer Rose's actions may well have saved this person's life. His actions exemplify the excellent qualities of the men and women of the Missoula Police Department. Please pass along our department's thanks to Officer Rose. We are proud to be working alongside dedicated public safety professionals of his caliber. It is our honor to present Sergeant Colin Rose with the Missoula Police Department's Police Medal for his heroism and valor in this incident. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in congratulating these exceptional police officers and be proud in knowing that you are protected and served by some of the finest officers in the state.
Thank you. I'm always proud of our officers and what they do. Tonight, I want to introduce our keynote speaker. It's Denny Bedard. Denny, if you could come up here. Denny is born and raised in Missoula and graduated from the University of Montana. And like his son Andrew, who was also a graduate of Hellgate High School. Denny began his broadcasting career while still in college and has continued this career uninterrupted for 31 years. He is currently employed by Clear Channel Radio as a sales rep and midday announcer on their country station 94.9, and he made it a point to tell me I need to be listening to country music. Denny also works at the University of Montana Athletic Department as the public address announcer for the Lady Grizz basketball games. And for the last couple of months, you turn on 94.9 and you hear Denny talking about this ceremony, and so we owe him a great debt. So, Denny.
Thank you, Rusty. I got to thinking this afternoon about how this park sews a thread through my life. I can look over that way on Woodford Street. I can't quite see it. Almost see the house I grew up in the 900 block. And I can look back that way and see a tree that was planted in my son's honor. And from age 5, 6, 7 to about 18, this was the neighborhood stadium. Grew up playing football on this piece of ground. I think we're on about the 25-yard line right here. And now I'm standing on it again, honored to be part of this ceremony. I wish you could meet Corporal Sean Seeley, U.S. Marine Corps, retired. Sean will be 21 this summer. And Corporal Seeley was the gunner in the vehicle my son was driving when it was hit by a roadside bomb. Now, of course, the gunner stands up in the middle of the vehicle. They're partially exposed, and when it was hit, it flipped over backwards, and that trapped Sean under it. He was pinned there for over half an hour before they were able to rescue him, and just about every bone from the pelvis on down was either fractured or broken, among other injuries, and he was in hospitals for a long time before he could come home to the Seattle area. And I got to meet Sean first time last Father's Day, and the first thing you notice when you look at him, you can't help it, is a series of black squiggly lines down the side of the face. It's embedded shrapnel. And I shook his hand and I felt the incompleteness of it without looking at it first. And he had lost his thumb in that accident, but he has rehabbed well these past 19 months and has his life well planned out for someone so young. It's very very commendable. But getting to know Sean meant getting to know his account of what happened that day. And the last thing that Corporal Seeley remembers is his driver yelling, "Hold on!" The vehicle swerving in an attempt to avoid some of the impact, and then being trapped upside down in that Humvee with the oil and gas leaking down his face and being unable to move. But in Corporal Seeley's heart is the belief that Andrew took one for the team in a manner that likely saved Sean's life. You'll never convince Sean otherwise. And that takes a lot of courage, putting the needs of others in front of one's own. And my son will be viewed as a hero to many, but especially to that one young man who lives today. Law enforcement officers take the risk and assume the responsibility of maybe having to be someone's hero every day. And I've always had so much respect for anyone whose conduct on the job meets or exceeds the higher expectations of the public. You achieve that by having a passion for what you do. And with that passion, you instill confidence and respect in those for whom you serve. You are held to a higher standard. Thank you for surpassing it. You are called upon in so many other ways to represent your profession. You are mediators and negotiators. You are show and tell subjects at school. You are emergency traffic signals. You are honor detail at funeral services and much more. And you do it all with a dignity and appropriateness that befits the uniform you wear. Thank you for all those things too, and the way you represent our community. It was so compelling to hear the series of stories of heroics that my coworker Pete Denault was reading a few minutes ago. And I have never needed a law enforcement officer, at least in a direct sense. I've never been robbed or mugged, run off the road by a driver who's maybe on the run, but who knows? Maybe at one time or another I nearly came upon danger that was thwarted by your presence. And just knowing there are people like you willing to make a sacrifice for me, that's all I need to know to show you the respect and appreciation you deserve. So never needed an officer. No, I need you. We need you every day. Please always stand tall and proud of what you stand for. Please accept my condolences for the loss of comrades, locally and elsewhere, this year and in years past. Whether you knew them personally or not, I know you always feel the hurt when you lose one of your own in the line of duty. Family members too, I am sorry for your loss. I know firsthand the way your tears blend with your pride, and that is a bittersweet nectar. But you swallow, you cry, you smile, and you know that so many rally around you with respect and admiration for what your lost loved ones stood for. Please always be willing to accept that embrace, because it will always act as an ointment to help take the hurt away. Thank you for their service, and thank all of you here tonight who choose law enforcement as your vocation. In the past 19 months, I've been asked to speak at a number of events, including get-togethers of military veterans, pachyderms, Rotary Club members, the general public. And it's always an honor, but this one, in this setting here on about the 25-yard line, I will always remember the night I got to speak to the people who risked their lives to protect and to serve me every day, and say thanks to them. That is something of which to be very proud. So thank you so much for that opportunity. You have made an ordinary citizen feel very special. Thank you.
When I need to feel you near me, I stand in this quiet place. with the silver light of countless stars falling on my face. Though they all shine so brightly, somehow it comforts me to know that some who burn the brightest died an eternity ago. But your light still shines. It's one small star to guide me and to help me to hold back the dark. Your light still shining in my heart. I'm learning how to live without you. I never thought I could. And even how to smile again, I never thought I would. To cherish my heart's memories that can bring you back to life. Though some caress me gently, some cut me like a knife. But your light still shines. It's one small star to guide me and to help me to hold back the dark. Your light still shining in my heart. Can your soul be out there somewhere beyond the infinity of time? I guess you found some answers now. I'll have to wait for mine. When my light joins with yours someday to shine through time and space, and one day fall in a distant age upon some stranger's face. And your light still shines. It's one small star to guide me and to help me to hold back the dark. Your light still shining in my heart. Your light's still shining in my
Would those people that are placing the roses and their escorts please report to the designated area?
Tonight, as we pay tribute to law enforcement officers in Missoula County who have given the ultimate sacrifice, we will be reading a special tribute written by their loved ones. It is an opportunity to know these heroes as husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, and friends. Missoula County Sheriff's Deputy James Thompson. On July 1st, 1878, Sheriff's Deputy James Thompson died of a sunstroke while searching for an escaped prisoner. Placing a rose in memory of Deputy James Thompson is Missoula Police Department Officer Truman Tolson.
Okay.
Edmund Trudeau, Missoula County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Deputy Edmund Trudeau was shot and killed by Herman Parsons on February 14th, 1904. Mr. Parsons was intoxicated and had been expelled from a local dance. He returned with a Winchester shotgun and began shooting at the dance hall. Deputy Trudeau started out of the building and was shot at point-blank range. A sheriff's posse arrested Mr. Parsons after a long pursuit, during which one of the posse members was also seriously wounded. Placing a rose in memory of Deputy Edmund Trudeau is Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Jason Hildenstadt. Treasury Agent Paul A. Reed. Paul Albro Reed was born April 8, 1899, and was the eldest son of Edward and Cecilia Reed. He grew up in a large family on a farm near Leeds, North Dakota. Through his travels, he discovered Montana and decided to return. After establishing a career in law enforcement, Paul, his wife Leona, and their children moved to Missoula to his new position as a federal probation officer. Paul loved hunting and camping and was an active member of his church. For several years prior to his death, he took his big touring car to East Missoula and loaded as many children as possible and took them to St. Paul's Lutheran Sunday School. In those Depression days, he often brought unexpected guests home for a meal and would even take groceries to families of the men he had arrested who were serving time in jail. Paul was an accomplished musician and could play several instruments. On summer evenings, as he and his neighbors sat on their front porches, he would play his accordion or guitar and welcomed requests from those living close by. Paul did not live to see his children mature, nor did he have an opportunity to meet any of his grandchildren. On a warm July night in 1933, he was shot and killed by a bootlegger he was in the process of arresting. He was survived by his wife and three children under the age of 9, his parents, brothers, and sisters. Other close family members, as well as many friends, still mourn the passing of this warm-hearted, generous, and outgoing man. On July 21st, 1933, Agent Paul Reed had arrested a man named Cates between the old Oxford Cafe at Higgins and Broadway and was taking him to jail for violation of federal liquor laws. Midway between the jail and the sheriff's office, Cates pulled a gun and shot Agent Reed with 2 of 5 bullets fired by Cates. Cates was immediately arrested and sentenced to hang, but eventually had his sentence commuted to life in prison. He was paroled in 1957. Placing the rose in memory of Paul Reed is his brother Kenneth, escorted by Paul's grandson, Roger Baith of the University of Montana Police. Lyle Ward, Missoula County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Deputy Lyle Ward was a Missoula City County motorcycle officer who was killed on March 26, 1934, when his motorcycle crashed near the viaduct at the entrance to East Missoula. It is believed that Deputy Ward may have been attempting to stop a traffic violator at the time of the accident. However, there are no known witnesses. Deputy Ward had been assigned to the Sheriff's Department 10 days prior to his death. Placing the rose in memory of Deputy Lyle Ward is Missoula policeman Sean Lenahan. Lloyd Stringer, Missoula Sheriff's Department. Sheriff's Deputy Lloyd Stringer was shot and killed during a standoff in the Rattlesnake area. The suspect then barricaded himself in his cellar, and the building was surrounded and tear gas was used to drive him from the home. As the suspect fled the building, he began firing, killing Deputy Stringer and a bystander. An exchange of gunfire ensued, and the suspect was wounded. Placing the rose in memory of Deputy Lloyd Stringer, Ward is Missoula policeman Tom Johnson. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Officer Roy Thompson. While on duty in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, Roy W. Thompson was assigned to escort and record on film material for a documentary for Graham Wilson, the assistant producer of Bold Journey. The two men were permitted to take motorcycles to obtain the footage. A heavy camera was mounted on the handlebars of Officer Thompson's Harley, and Mr. Wilson was to narrate the action from his viewpoint. After riding to the top of the trail over Pyramid Pass and recording the majestic panoramic view, they reversed their trek with Officer Thompson still recording. On a very sharp turn of the trail, a large rock had become dislodged, and with the camera obscuring the hazard, the front wheel of the motorcycle struck the rock. Overbalanced, the motorcycle swerved out and over a steep drop to the valley floor. Death was instant. Mr. Wilson sought help upon reaching Seeley Lake, and Officer Thompson was recovered and taken by helicopter to the Seeley Lake Ranger Station. The film was never salvaged. The last words Roy spoke at the summit was when he turned and said to his companion, "This is life." After surviving the worst of the cold North Atlantic, serving on high-octane tankers and taking fuel to Russia and England during World War II, his family was grateful that he had lived his last years doing work he enjoyed and having had the privilege of serving both his country and the state of Montana. Warden Roy Thompson died on August 20th, 1958, while serving for the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Department. Placing a rose in memory of Roy Thompson is his widow, Marilyn Thompson Lang, escorted by Kevin Clater of the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Department. Donald Gregory, Missoula Police Department. The following was written by Sergeant Gregory's daughter, Danelle Gregory. I used to ask God why. I used to ask God, what are we supposed to do without him? I used to ask God, couldn't you have taken someone else? It has taken me 31 years to accept the idea that God had his reasons we may never comprehend. It has taken me 31 years to realize why so many who loved him were left behind. Why I was left behind. Though the reasons change from day to day, today I know I was left behind so I could honor my Father the way he so deserves. I know now what we are supposed to do without him. We're supposed to remember and never forget. We're supposed to love and honor each other every single day as if it were our last. We're supposed to live our lives honestly and take pride in everything we do. We're supposed to stand up for what we believe in and persevere despite our fears. We're supposed to remember, if only for this one day, all those who went before him and all those who have and will follow. We need to realize that right now, as we speak, there are people sacrificing their lives for us. People we have never met. People whose loved ones are left behind with questions that may never be answered and hearts that will never again be whole. Loved ones who are left behind, like me, like you. For many, my dad became a hero that early January morning in '76. For me, he became my hero 4 years prior. Maybe God could have taken someone else, but he didn't. I choose to believe God wanted someone very special, someone who is capable of living in our hearts long after he laid his life on the line, someone who 31 years later can remind us of why we're left behind, someone like Sergeant Don Gregory, someone like my dad. Missoula Police Sergeant Don Gregory was killed in the basement of a home on the north side of Missoula when another officer's shotgun accidentally discharged. The officers were attempting to apprehend an individual who had been involved in a disturbance in which a firearm had been fired. Placing a rose on behalf of Sergeant Donald Gregory's family is Missoula Police Department Officer Colin Rose. Stephen LePayne, Missoula Police Department. When you think about Steve LePayne, several things come to mind. But first was his easy smile and his quick sense of humor. These are closely followed by his love of family, cars, and his t-shirt collection. A memory that still brings a smile to his brother Clifford happened weeks before Steve was killed. Steve purchased a pair of cowboy boots, and watching him walk in those boots was a sight to see. Steve was definitely not a cowboy boot sort of guy. It made them both laugh. As Clifford states, laughter was one of his brother's gifts to us all, and he was more than just my little brother. He was my friend. Steve's son, Steve Jr., says that one of the things his family will always remember and most appreciate about his dad is all the hard work he put into becoming a police officer. He was proud of his chosen profession, and his family is proud of him for making the ultimate sacrifice while serving and protecting his family and community. Steve was a father, brother, son, and friend who had a caring heart and was always there to lend a helping hand. He loved life and was taken much too soon. He is missed. Missoula police officer Stephen LePayne was killed while responding to back another officer on a call when his patrol car was struck broadside by a drunk driver. The collision occurred at West Broadway and Mullen Road. Officer LePayne died at the scene. Placing the rose in memory of Stephen LePayne is his son Steve, along with his two young sons Ethan and Scott, escorted by Missoula Police Department Officer Jamie Merrifield. Missoula County Sheriff's Department's Alan Kimmery. If you never knew Al Kimmery, you miss knowing a truly fine deputy. He was known by his friends and co-workers to be honest and morally straight, and very dedicated to law enforcement. He had a great work ethic, yet was fun to be around with a good sense of humor. Al was bright and took great pains to know the details of the law. As a detective, his investigations were always thorough, and as a sergeant, he was a hands-on leader. He'd never ask someone to do something for him and then go sit on his butt. No, he'd be working right alongside you. Al had an open mind. He welcomed and enjoyed an exchange of ideas. His friends knew he was dependable and exceedingly careful on the job, a fact that inspired those he worked with and ultimately convicted the man who killed him. In his private life, Alan took pride in his wife, son, and daughter. They enjoyed camping, getting wood together, and family celebrations. Like many Montana guys, Al enjoyed reloading, target shooting, collecting guns, and hunting. Although at the end of the last fall he hunted, he proclaimed that he was tired of killing things and thought he'd start hunting with a camera. That same year, he got interested in wood carving, and at the time of his death, he was carving tiny, individual feathers on a wood duck. Of course, Al had his human weaknesses too. His Irish heritage blessed him with red hair and a fiery temper, both of which were fading as he got older. And he was such a perfectionist about his professional appearance that he probably spent hundreds of hours polishing his brass and putting a spit shine on his boots. But all in all, if you never knew Al Kimmery, you missed knowing a good man. He was a valuable officer, a loving family man, and all-around caring person. Sheriff's Deputy Sergeant Alan Kimmery was shot and killed by a person he had stopped for leaving a gas station without paying. The shooting occurred between West Broadway and Toole on Bulwer Street. It was later determined that the vehicle had been stolen. Placing a rose in memory of Sergeant Alan Kimmery on behalf of his family is Missoula County Sheriff's Deputy Josh Clark. Before we conclude the Rose Remembrance ceremony, we will be placing one last single rose in observance of National Law Enforcement Memorial Day to honor each officer killed in the line of duty over the last year and to honor their families as well.
faces all day through, whether in a small cafe, a park across the way, a children's carousel, a chestnut tree, a wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer day, in everything that's bright and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing
I'd like to take a moment to thank Mary, who has volunteered across several years to help with this Rose Garden Memorial Ceremony. Mary Ross has given of her time and her talent to bring the beauty and comfort of music to this time of remembrance. Mary, we appreciate your gift of song, and thank you for sharing it with us, and please accept this small gift in behalf of the families whose family members died in the line of service. Thank you, Mary. Memorials are visible reminders of those we cherish, honor, love, and respect. And today, we have gathered to respect and honor those law enforcement officers who died while serving our community. The National Peace Officers Memorial Day has been set aside to make sure that we do not forget them. So we're going to take a moment of silence to honor and remember those who have fallen, whose names are on this monument, and to remember also our military men and women who have given their lives in this present war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's take a moment of silence. Almighty God, we stand here in this beautiful garden today to honor those who have made the ultimate sacrifice while serving our communities as law enforcement officers. You were there when they fell, and you are present today as we remember them and honor them for giving their lives in the line of duty. Reach out with your arms of love and compassion to the families and friends who have been left without their loved ones. Comfort especially the children who have lost a parent, the husbands and wives who have lost a spouse, and the parents who have lost a child. Give them the gift of your presence and your peace. We also remember those officers who have been critically injured while on duty, and may they be assured of our love, respect, and unending gratitude for their personal sacrifice. And we ask that you will bless them and give them daily strength and courage. Father, we also thank you for our great nation, our state, and our city. And we ask that you would give wisdom to our leaders and protection to our law enforcement officers. It is in you that we trust. Amen.
I want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank Pastor Meek, Pete Denault, Denny Bedard, Mayor Engen, all other city elected officials, Sheriff McMeekin. I also want to thank the family members, Joe Kimmery, Clay Gregory, Steve LePaine, Marilyn Lang, and Ken Reed. And also, this is the first time that Steve LePaine's aunts, Vivian, Rumor, and Morna Redfern can be here. And they came from, I believe it's Oregon, And Vivian's husband, Wayne, was also a retired Missoula police officer, retired in 1967. So thank you folks for being here. And now I would ask that you stand as the colors are retired.
And hoot. Detail. Present. Oops. Order. Oops. Detail. Follow.
I will frame it or extend it and get a cute card. Do you want to take it tonight? You can take it and then just.
Is that your frame?
Yeah, but you can have it.
Okay. But we're going to take some more pictures of it.
Yeah, okay,
I'm adding.